My name is Rhapsody, and Hearthstone goofed up while I was trying to record the first wing of the new solo adventure, the Boomsday Project. Dr. Boom has flooded the lab with different puzzles for you to figure out, different ways to kill your enemy in a single turn, all of them, different ways to clear the board, different ways to mirror the opponent's board, and different ways to survive your enemy's onslaught. Now, I recorded the first wing, the lethal wing, and I'm just gonna show you what happened. Solo adventures in Hearthstone, specifically the Boomsday Project. There's a puzzle lab with 20 different puzzles that we need to... Noticing anything screwy yet? Yeah, the default screen just stayed like this the entire time. Look. Sickness. So Healing Rain does 12 different dies, give you a as I went through the entire wing. Now, there's something super unfortunate about that, which is that I now know how to solve the lethal wing. So the first wing in this series is going to be more of a walkthrough than it will be kind of a let's play, because I already know the solutions. I'm sorry. There's nothing I can really do about that at this point. It's really disheartening to me, actually. That said, we'll try and get through this wing as quickly as is humanly possible before moving on to the next wing. Now, this is the lethal wing. You need to destroy the enemy hero. Just making sure, constantly looking over at my recording, that it is recording it correctly.
We'll start you off with some pain tolerance testing. Try and knock him out.
The only trick there is you have to make sure that you play the cards in the right order. So it's trying to tell you order matters, and then this one, it's trying to tell you that not all of the cards you're given are part of the solution. So we only have 4 energy, but 2 Frostbolts and an Ice Lance. Ice Lance does more damage than a Frostbolt when the enemy is already frozen. So, a lot of these I'm going to be kind of like automatically going through. I'm going to try and explain the design element that they are trying to get you to learn, because it does start out a little slow as it tries to go along. This is probably about energy efficiency, right? So if Wind Fury is probably the best damage buff that you can cast here, what are you going to do next? +1 damage or +5? You just got to worry about the energy efficiency. Great job. So, this whole thing is going to be a wild romp. As soon as we get done with the lethal wing. I tried to think of every other solution that was possible. Just re-record it? No, I already have them all done. And I would have to lie like, oh, what's the solution to this puzzle? I've no clue. But I do, right? I would have already done it. No way I'm going to take that option. The other option was to upload every wing except for the lethal wing, which doesn't make any sense at all. I like things that are complete. I like whole sets. Or there's the possibility that I edit 2 videos together where I sit and painstakingly try and mimic the actions that I hear my own voice considering. That would not work, obviously, for a 50-minute video. Just trying to guess what would have been on screen and trying to mimic it. None of those really work. So the goal here is just to make sure that you get the maximum damage out of your Frothing Berserker, because you're never going to kill the Ironwood Golem and get damage through the Rabid Organs, because they're rush, right? So you Whirlwind. Attack both of those 2 in, and then Shield Slam my own target. Get as many big buffs on that boy as is possible. Now, by the way, if you haven't seen any of my Hearthstone content before, the face cam is not a thing that I'm just suddenly starting to include into series. Since the birth of the channel, since like 4,000 videos ago, I've been using face cam specifically for Hearthstone. And the reason I do that is because Hearthstone demands... Well, it doesn't demand, but it has like an expected format type, because it led in live streaming services like Mixer, Twitch, hitbox. Because it led in services like that, that kind of determined the expectations for the format. That previous one, it was just about learning that you can trigger effects on your opponent's minions as well.
That's what we're here for.
Now, here, the Arcane Blast can only deal damage to minions, so you're pretty clear that you have to use it to clear the minion. And then after that, what's the max damage you can do, right? So if you take some actions for a given, what is the maximum you can do after that? And then Celestial Emissary, that's the wrong order. Celestial Emissary gives +2 spell damage to the next spell you cast. The next spell I was about to cast was about to be Coin, which would get no benefit. Whoops. Coin, Celestial Emissary, my board. Oh, figured it out on the first try. You don't have to figure out the puzzle in real time if you do it beforehand. Just owning up to it. This one has 2 different solutions. This is the cool one, where you fill the board with Clockwork Automatons that double the damage of your hero power. Your hero power already does 2, so 2, 4, 8, 16, 32. Any of the interactable elements that are a little less than obvious, I'll try and do. The other way of doing that is just to use the Arcane Shot to go face, and use the Blackwall Pixie to refresh your hero power. So you do 4, Blackwalled, 4, and then 2 damage to the face with the Arcane Shot. There's nothing I can do here. This is literally just about knowing that death rattles can trigger in different orders. This is the backup plan: destroy all friend minions. What a difficult puzzle that was. They do get harder in this wing, thankfully. At this time, in the last attempt to record this episode, I was musing that I thought that all of them were going to be extraordinarily easy. I probably struggled with like 3 in this wing.
I'm going to go lie down.
Not in the Potion Master Pollock wing, or rather the Potion Master Pollock part of the wing. There's 4 different characters. I struggled with 1 in the Little Stormy wing, and then I think 2 in Myra's? No, this is Myra's wing. 2 in Electra Storm Surge's wing.
Versus Myra.
The enemies don't have a hero power or anything like that, so, and you don't take an extra turn, right? There's literally no end turn button. The trick to this is realizing that you get more damage by Ironbeak Owl unfreezing your own target than you do by a kill command. Kill command is 5, Ironbeak Owl is 7, because it frees up this 5 as well as does 2 by itself. There's no way that it was ever going to involve King Mukla. King Mukla is 3 damage. Sorry, 3 damage, it's 5 damage. It's effectively a kill command at that rate, right? Dinosaur
The
domination.
side effects don't scare me. I'm already dead.
Time for killing.
Let none survive.
This one is entirely about realizing that sometimes super anti-value plays, like destroying your own minion, are the correct plays. Just trying to teach you.
I'm glad I'm not alive for this.
That actually used to be like a super common thing in Constructed. Was actually to Sylvanas and then Deathwing your own Sylvanas for like the poor man's kind of ad hoc mind control.
Ah, weapons. I like your style.
So this is the Spud ME. Whenever this minion survives damage, it switches sides. It has 10 HP at the moment, so everything else equal, it will end up on my opponent's board with 2 HP, end up on my board with 1 HP. This is if we do single damage instances. And then if it dies, so if it takes 1 more HP, it'll die, it'll blow me up. So you want it to be an odd number when it's on the opponent's field if you're doing 1 damage instances. That said, if you have enough damage, you completely bypass that. And just kill it while it has a bunch of HP on your opponent's side. I think I could have done that without the Wisp.
Yeah.
No. The Wisp contributed damage to the Frothing Berserker there. This one's trying to teach you that a 0 damage ability with spell damage does 1 damage, right? So you can ping and then spend all of my mana, deal that much damage, which would be 0, but it's 1 with the spell damage. Same thing happens with, you know, shield block. Shield block, shield slam. Same thing should happen with Reckless Flora. This one's just about teaching you that there are a lot of different interactable elements, and not all of them need to be played. This is the same lesson that we got taught before, but it's just kind of like the advanced version. So if you shadow step a minion that's been silenced, it will no longer be silenced. We now have a Kobold Geomancer with +1 spell damage on the field. I know that I'm not kind of demonstrating every element of the puzzle. I'm just demonstrating what it teaches you. And that's because, like, do you want me to spend 50 minutes doing puzzles I've already done? This one's actually cool. It teaches you a really important lesson, which is what are your givens, right? We have an enemy abomination that deals 2 damage to all characters, so I know that the enemy, after we kill that, is going to have 13 HP. I know that I have to play Rampage, otherwise my Gromash dies. So let's do those 2 things. And then I end up with a 6-3, a 5-2, and a 3-2. We've got a Cleave in hand to deal 2 damage to random enemy minions. We execute the one that would live. Also, if you're wondering why I'm always looking to the left, not only is that where the game is, but usually I would be kind of like trying to split my attention a little more clearly here. But I have to keep my leg elevated at all times, and it's in a giant screw-off kind of brace. So to the left, because my leg is quite long. I'm a big boy. I'm 6'4", so I can't face forward. This one is just about using Uter of the Even Blade, to summon 4 Horsemen. So summon this. No need to attack the face because the effect destroys the enemy hero. We've got new cards that are specific to this expansion, the battery pack. Refresh all mana crystals, or rather specific to these adventures. They're not collectible cards. You can see by the fact they don't have any gem. Alright. Refresh that. Hero power. Blackwalled, refresh your hero power. Hero power. Then we're going to get the Auction Master Beardo out before we battery pack, which is going to allow the Auction Master Beardo, after you cast a spell, refresh your hero power. Use that to refresh our hero power. We need to cast another spell in order to free up some space on the board, but that also refreshes my hero power. Cast it.
The time has come. I return.
I really, really, really want to get to the puzzles that I haven't already
Tricky,
solved.
but well done.
Like a lot. I'm really sad this worked out like this. I've been waiting for this for like 4 days. I only discovered 4 days ago that there was going to be a single player element because it just wasn't really talked about. But then 4 days ago, Blizzard started releasing extreme amounts of information about it.
Are you like the Electra?
But yes, I've been super hyped for it for 3 days. This one's actually one that took me a little bit of a moment.
How tough I am. I'll introduce you. Deal?
To battle.
The key is to recognize, I think in this fight, that oftentimes killing your own minions is correct. So we kill our own Tyrion to get a 5/3 weapon. The only reason I figured this out last time was because after we do the Wild Pyromancer Consecration attack to face, the enemy has 7 HP left. And 7 is a pretty conspicuous number when you have a minion on board that gives you a 5 damage weapon and a minion in hand that does 2 damage. So kind of make it super clear. This is about building the largest Pogo Hopper. Pogo Hopper is +2/+2 for each other Pogo Hopper you've already played this game. And we also have Give Your Minions Charge. So we basically just want the largest Pogo Hopper possible. So Pogo Hop, Sonya Shadow Dancer after a friendly minion dies, not whenever. Whenever means it would trigger before. which you can't do. Add a 1/1 copy of it to your hand. It costs 1. So now we use Backstab to kill one of them, Eviscerate to kill the other, giving me 2 Pogo Hoppers. And since I've got a coin in hand, I can play both. And then the smaller one, I'll Shadow Step. Damn it, you used to be able to completely interact with elements like that had not yet finished going to the zone that they were supposed to be in. Like, they're green on the board, and then you can immediately play them while they're on the board into the board. It didn't change mechanically anything, it was just faster. You can't do that now. The trick here is to realize that the Arcanized Soul Priest is your cards and powers that restore health will now deal damage instead, and that you have 2 Inner Fires, so you Inner Fire it to make it smaller. It has Summoning Sickness, but Potion of Madness removes Summoning Sickness. You can notice this, like, obviously Summoning Sickness is already gone from your opponent's minions by the time it's your turn. But if you use like a Dirty Rat, summon something from your opponent's hand, and then Potion of Madness, you'll realize that it has charge. So it's Radiant, and then we need to circle before we take it, otherwise it would kill itself with a circle.
I don't have enough mana.
Oh, right, sorry, I cast the first Inner Fire before. Whoops. I know the solution, it's just that my brain is bad.
Handle more to impress Electra.
Yep. And now we have a 20 HP minion. You can also have a look at it. All of its buffs. That one actually didn't take me any time in the first run. Great job. Show me the one that is interesting. This isn't even it, but basically, this is another kind of demonstration of mana efficiency. What is the best way to get the largest amount of armor for this, right? Because you use that to get the largest amount of armor, and then you use the Shield Slam to deal that armor in damage to the Wrathguard. The Wrathguard is from an old expansion. Whenever this minion takes damage, also deal that damage to your hero. So we'll go Cornered Sentry, Dry Whisker Armorer. I figured this one out pretty quickly because I play a lot of Control Warrior in my own time. That's kind of my thing. I think I'm actually like 100 victories from Golden Hero. I'm not like a super avid constructed player, but when I play it's always, you know, just messing around with the Control Warrior from the latest expansion. And because Dr. Boom, Mad Genius, exists, the hero card for kind of control decks, it was just really nice. I've actually been enjoying Hearthstone a lot recently. Okay. Now we'll Whirlwind, then we'll charge the Eternium Rover into the remaining minion to get another 3 armor, and then Shield Slam. It's another 3 armor as well as 1 more damage to the hero. 17, and then it gives me 3 armor, 2 from itself taking damage, 1 from the Armor Smith having a friendly minion take damage, and then 17 to the Wrathguard. No problemo. Something that we've noticed at this point is that it's not always necessarily exact lethal, which means you can't go, okay, which elements in my hand make up 25 damage? Cure All, whenever a minion is healed, deal 2 damage to the enemy hero. So the idea is to damage my minions on board as much as possible. So we'll defend it there, and now you have more than 3 HP, so I can damage you more. Damage you more. Lightning bolt to the opponent's face. Attack, attack. Coin. Healing. So now we'll have 3 and 5, 8 different heal triggers. 8 times 2 is 16. The enemy had 15 HP. Also, once you've committed all actions, if this doesn't turn green, you know that you've won. It's kind of similar to if the end turn button doesn't work, then you know that you've already killed your enemy.
Splashy, splashy, splashy.
That one similarly didn't take that long. Realizing that you can't heal a 1 HP minion means that you just go for it. Now this is really cool. Toasted Hydra. This is a reference to Disguised Toast doing a bunch of science on this kind of thing. I watched like a lot of Disguised Toasts and Hysteria and like Mythbusters videos in my time. That is to say, Mysteria's Hearthstone Mythbusters series. So I know a lot of the kind of like unique interactions that exist in this game. Specifically here, you have to notice after you attack face, the minion has 6 HP, deals 3 damage to the enemy hero for every time it takes damage, but the enemy has 20, and we have no way in hand of dealing damage. That is to say, to the hero. Which means that you need the Bittertide Hydra to take 7 triggers of its effect, despite the fact that it has 6 HP. Now, the thing that Disguised Toast discovered is that if the same action causes multiple triggers, it will continue past the death point of the Hydra. So we should be able to get the Hydra to 0 HP, but then immediately we should be able to move it to -1 because it will all happen with the same action. I'll let everything resolve and then cast the Whirlwind just to show you. Cool. So I'm going to Whirlwind. It deals 1 damage to the enemy hero. It triggers both of these effects after you cast a spell, Both of those will deal a damage to the Hydra. It goes 1, 0, -1. And the enemy will take damage for it. I imagine that for a lot of people, that's going to be like the first kind of stump. Because it relies on a mechanic that is entirely unintuitive. This one, I love this puzzle because it gives you so many different interactable elements that all produce the same thing. So Cthulhu is deal damage equal to this minion's attack, randomly split across all enemies. And then we have in hand, Disciple of Cthulhu, give your Cthulhu +2/+2 as well as deal 2 damage. Beckoner of Evil, give your Cthulhu +2/+2. And then on board, all of these trigger Cthulhu in a different way. Usher of Soul, whenever a friendly minion dies, give your Cthulhu +1/+1. Then Hooded Acolyte, if a minion is, whenever a character is healed, give your Cthulhu +1/+1. Crazed Worshipper, whenever this minion takes damage, give your Cthulhu +1/+1. And Cult Sorcerer, after you cast a spell, give your Cthulhu +1/+1. So the general idea is I'm trying, I have a look at all of these and I go, okay, which one is the most triggerable? The most triggerable is give your Cthulhu +1/+1 whenever a character is healed. So I prioritize that first. I play the Beckoner of Evil and then I damage it. So you're going to do those puzzles as content for the channel, says K's in the top left. Yes, I will. Actually, I think it's pronounced Kaze. In fact, I know it's pronounced Kaze. I just said it wrong. Anyway, now I will Shadow Madness to take your minion and heal a bunch of friendly characters. That's 5 from the Hooded Acolyte, and we get to attack the face. But even more than that, the Cult Sorcerer also triggers because we played a spell. But after we cast a spell, give our Cthulhu +1/+1, we're about to play a Spirit Lash. Oh, sorry, it has spell damage +1. We're about to play a Spirit Lash, which will kill the Cult Sorcerer and damage the Crazed Worshipper. Killing the Cult Sorcerer buffs it using the Usher of Souls. So we get 2 triggers. I really liked this one. I think I failed it once in the recording.
Electra. She's a bit of a tempest right now.
I know that I sat on that one for a while. Hey, finally we're going to Electra. Good. The future videos in this series, I have to imagine, are going to be a lot longer because they will have to include some actually working things out. Again, I'm extremely displeased about how this worked out, but I don't really think there was a better way of solving it.
Gul'dan!
Hello, Electra.
Electra!
It's only like 5 challenges here or something, right?
This power is overwhelming.
This one took me a while. Oh man. So the thing that you need to learn for this is, number one, okay, so it has 10 and it's on my side. So since it has an even amount and it's on my side, single incremental 1 hits are enough. But you've got to realize that you don't have enough minions to have Defile trigger 10 times, right? You would need 10 different minions because it needs to kill a minion every single time to continue. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You don't have enough minions to trigger Defile the entire way through. And then the final thing that you need to realize is that the Spud.me is a mech. That, I didn't realize that for like 10 minutes. So you can magnetic a Skaterbot to it to give it rush as well as +1. And then I can attack that into that friendo there. Putting it on 2, which means that my first Defile is actually going to be pretty good. I attack here first though. Because, again, remember, I'm not going to have enough to just have Defile kill the Spud, so I need to attack with one of my own minions. And then I'll Defile. Right. I think I misplayed that. Boy. Yeah, I did. Oops.
Are you a hurricane or a hurricane?
What did you just call me? Alright, can you mind your own GD business? Wow. What a nosy person. Alright, and then we'll Blackwing Technician, which is our 5. Cool. Then I can make a 6. Let's just coin Twilight Drake. Oh, but we already have the 6 on the board. Never mind. So yeah, it's Defile, and then that leaves me with a 1, 2, and 3 for the second Defile. Yeah. Bye. So it goes to the opponent's board. It has 1. It doesn't survive that instance of damage, so it kills them. That one's... I like that. I like all of the Spud.me challenges. I wonder if they're going to be available for anything except for lethals. This one is a reference to something that Firebat did in like one of the super early Hearthstone tournaments. Like I think it was like a really early Hearthstone Invitational. And it's that kill commanding your own beast, especially when you have buffs on board, is more damage, right? The kill command would have been 5, but these have charge as well as +1. So, +1 to their attack in particular. So instead, you kill your own minion in order to trigger its death rattle and then run into the face. This one stumped me for ages.
I've absorbed too much of the Nether Storm. I'm overwhelmed.
So have a look at the board and you see that you've got a Defile, right? And you see that the enemies have 5 HP, and because Hellfire is symmetric in its effect, right? Your lowest Doomguard will always have the same HP as a Gatekeeper, or one above, like assume you attack or something like that, right? Which means that your Defile will eventually kill all of the Gatekeepers, and then it'll kill your Doomguard, another Doomguard, another Doomguard, and another Doomguard, and then you have no damage, right? Save for, you know, the 2 that you did with the Goblin Bomb and 3 with the Hellfire, right? Recognizing that you have 2 from the Goblin Bomb and 3 from the Hellfire is an important part of the puzzle, because that means you get 5 damage already to the opponent's face, which means that not all of the Doomguards have to live.
Has science gone too far?
The thing that finally cracks the nut is recognizing that you don't have to do Defile last. You can do Defile first. It's a fun one. Good job. This one, yeah, it took a moment or two, but not for super interesting reasons.
Whole lab. Somebody stop me!
The important thing to realize about this is that only dealing 4 damage to the bomb squad makes it worthwhile, because the bomb squad does 5 damage to the hero. So, and since it's untargetable, it's not like you're Earth-shocking or crushing handing it. Excuse me. And you definitely don't want to Earth-shock it. You would remove the death rattle, right? So unless you deal exactly 4 to it, you're making a loss on it, which means that the best and easiest way to deal 4 is to use the Emerald Reaver. But before that, we're going to use the Stoneclaw Totem to kill the shield of the Bitterside Hydra and then attack it with the Leper Gnome. We want the Leper Gnome, we want it in that order so that the Leper Gnome is not buffed, so that we leave the Bitterside Hydra on the board for as long as possible, so that we can then Crushing Hand it to deal 3 more damage to the face, as well as buff up our Tunnel Trog, and then... Great job. This one actually also took me a while. Okay, so never mind. There were actually a fair few that took me a while
Cloudy
here.
with a chance of me! Aha!
The thing that you immediately recognize about this puzzle is there's no way to win it without Faceless manipulating the Tundra Rhino, right? And using Dinomancy, hero powering the Tundra Rhino, and then Faceless manipulating it is a very expensive way to get +4 damage. +2 damage, right? Because actually the opponent's Tundra Rhino doesn't matter. So you can discount Dinomancy at this point because it doesn't provide enough value for the energy that it costs. You know that you have to Faceless manipulate. Now, initially I was using the Giant Sandworm to kill the Abomination, but I recognized pretty quickly thereafter that if I use the Bloodfen Raptor and the Emerald Hive Queen, I can order things in such a way that I can get that little bit of extra damage. When I was using the Giant Sandworm to kill, I would always be like 2 damage short. So I effectively just had to recognize that the Giant Sandworm has a lot more damage than it is currently doing. This one is actually cool as well, because I solved this on accident. I screwed up a solution that I thought it was, and accidentally solved it as a result. It was weird. But again, all of the non-negotiables happen first, right? We coin because there's nothing in these that has the coin have a different effect, right? There's no order consideration for the coin. And then we'll backstab you because there's no available other target on the board to backstab, and it's just +2 damage on the Mana Addict. And we have no symmetric effects that are dealing damage to the Mana Addict, so we're fine. The trap here is thinking you use Wanted in order to kill the Hoarded Dragon. Instead, it's actually Razor Petal Volley. By the way, the Mana Addict gets +2 attack every single time you cast a spell. The Hoarding Dragon, give your opponent 2 coins on Death Rattle. So we'll hit you with a Razor Petal, and then an Eviscerate. You give me 2 coins. I cast both of them. Shadow Strike the opponent's face, Razor Petal them, and then deal. That one's, I have to imagine that was probably the most difficult for me because I solved it on accident, right? It didn't seem or feel difficult because I didn't spend an incredibly long period of time on it, but it's not like I solved it, it just happened. All right, Dr. Boom. Well, again, my apologies on the fact that this is a walkthrough rather than a playthrough for the first episode. The rest of them are all going to be playthroughs, so hopefully you'll join me next time. My name has been Rhapsody. The name of the game has been Hearthstone, the Boomsday Project Puzzle Labs, specifically the lethal wing thereof. Hopefully you've been enjoying yourselves, and hopefully we'll see you